My name is Esteban Arce Villarreal, and I'm an architect and collaborator in Learn vray for SketchUp. In this lesson, we're going to learn how the new interface of vray is made up, which is designed to allow an easy and intuitive management of its functions. The first thing we're going to do is to go to the menu Extensions vray, and we'll find the different options that we can access through the toolbar. You can enter the options for vray in the View menu and then by clicking on Toolbar. In the Toolbar window you can find the three toolbars that vray offers. Or you can find the toolbars of vray 3.4 by clicking with the right button of your mouse on the toolbar menu and selecting them from the list. You'll see that there are three toolbars which include the main tools of vray in a specific way. vray for SketchUp. Here you'll find the asset editor and the options for production render, interactive render, batch render and lock camera orientation. vray lights. Here are all the types of lights we will use to illuminate our scenes, from rectangular light to mesh light. Furthermore, we have a new feature, which is light intensity. This is very useful to adjust the intensity of our lights by selecting them and moving the mouse up and down. vray objects. This toolbar contains the functions Infinite Plane, Import-Export Proxies, vray Fur and Mesh Clipper, which works in exactly the same way as it does in 3ds Max. Let's click on Asset Editor. We'll see that a window shows up. This window presents four main categories: materials, lights, geometry and settings. In each one of them we'll find different options to manage. In the first category, we can visualize in real time the preview of the material we are going to create. In this corner, we can choose from 7 types of visualization with geometries that illustrate in a better way the behavior of our material related to the light and textures scale. Here we have a panel where we find 2 tabs: the material list we have in the scene, and the quick settings, which show in a general way the parameters that we can change in our material, such as the diffuse, reflection or refraction layer. On the left side you'll see an arrow that will display the full list of materials predefined by different categories. To use them, you just have to drag and drop on your material list of the scene and apply them onto the object you want to. These materials from the default library can be renamed and modified to your liking. However, I'll show you how the materials work for a better understanding. On the right side, we have another menu which will show an advanced interface for the layers that make up our material, just like in 3ds Max. As you can see, it's divided into 3 main sections by default, such as vray BRDF, Options and Maps. Along the bottom, we have several icons that will be useful to create new materials, import those created previously, save materials, delete and purge. In the second category we have lights, where we can change any of the light's properties. Each kind of light that we create will be automatically added to the list in order to find them easily. Turn it on or off depending on your interest and modify the parameters. The drop-down menu on the sides will change according with the category you are working on. In the third category we have geometry. Here we'll find a list of the vray geometries such as vray, infinite plane, proxies and mesh clipper. Again, we have a menu on the right side that will allow us to know the items listed. You'll see that the vray mesh clipper basically has the function to transform any object in the scene into an item to cut our model and visualize what's inside as a section plane. In the fourth category, settings, we have the main options to adjust the technical part of our rendering process. We can see tabs like renderer, camera, render output, environment, material override and swarm for distributed rendering. On the right side we have the menu where we can access more options like ray trace, global illumination, caustics, render elements and switches. In these options, we can view more details about them by clicking on the drop-down arrows. We also view the on-off sliders for each tab. From here, we can set up the render elements too, which are useful for post-production. Then we have the rendering options. By clicking on the arrow, 3 options will be displayed: production mode, interactive mode, and export VR scene, which is a feature that exports all the necessary information to be rendered with vray standalone later. Now let's see how the different methods work. Production render. Interactive render. Let's move the mesh clipper to get feedback. The last icon corresponds to the vray frame buffer, where we can see our render and make some corrections. Finally, at the bottom, we can see new icons that will help us to restore our settings, load vray rendering options, and save those created with the test and final versions. So far, we have done a quick preview to the new interface of vray for SketchUp. It is important to understand that not all the options that vray for 3ds Max has will be found or correspond in vray for SketchUp, but this won't affect our goal to achieve photorealistic results. Later, I'll explain how to manage each one of the categories we have seen, in order to get used to finding our balance between the technical part and the artistic one. This is useful to reach the results that only the 5SRW method offers. See you in the next lesson.